go back to 1989, which is when you actually started your project, your passion, which was how do you take Priya and make it a modern cinema-going experience for the Indian consumer. Same time as the iconic Amir Khan movie Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, which was set to capture the imagination of the Indian moviegoer. You know, was Papa Kehte Hain the anthem playing in your head at that point in time?
Well, Papa Kehte to the in my case as well. But I was really never thinking of the Indian consumer or the macro economics of the business or the vast potential. Simply speaking, I just want to prove to my father that I'm not a failure.
We're starting at a new financial year. You know, is there a silver lining that you can spot?
Sid Field is one of the writers I read a lot. So he used to always say, in every story in life, or there's Act 1, Act 2 and Act 3.
Where
Act
are we
1
today?
Act 1 is a setup. Act 2 is a conflict. And Act 3 is a resolution. My Act 2 has become very long.
Do you believe that there are likely to be regulatory headwinds?
Regulation should not happen at all. It is not part of an Essential Commodity Act. We don't come into that. So every time there is something that we hear from any state government, that's the only thing that saves us.
Music has been and performing has been a dream for you. But in an era and in a society where we're so bound by log kya kahenge, and there's a whole genre of Hindi movies dedicated to that, to say that you're going to do this publicly.
I just was very keen that I don't take the one-dimensional view of life. Because we are all businessmen, we're running listed companies. This is our job. And if your job is something that stresses you, then you need to find other avenues to de-stress you.
The three most important things to Ajay Bijli. Please share.
Hairline, bottom line, and waistline. And now being able to sing. What's written on the stave is important.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Young Turks Reloaded podcast. My guest today inherited a single-screen cinema theatre from his father, but then had an epiphany when he was all of 23 and on his honeymoon in Orlando. That is when the idea of modernizing the cinema-going experience struck Ajay Bijli, and he decided to return and convince his father that that is what he intended to do with Priya. Cut to 2025. Today, PVR Inox is the largest chain of multiplexes in the country with 1,745 screens and over 350 cinemas and counting at this point in time. And the company has, of course, made several pivots along the way. To talk more about the PVR journey, the lessons in business and in life, is the man himself, Ajay Bijli. It's great to have you back on the Young Turks podcast. Wonderful to see you today.
Thank you, Shereen, for having me.
You know, I want to go back to 1989, which is when you actually started your project, your passion, which was how do you take Priya and make it a modern cinema-going experience for the Indian consumer. Same time as the iconic Amir Khan movie Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, which was set to capture the imagination of the Indian moviegoer. You know, was Papa Kehte Hain the anthem playing in your head at that point in time?
My God. So you know how to articulate a question, don't you? Wow. Well, Papa Kehte to the in my case as well. But I was really never thinking of the Indian consumer or the macro economics of the business or the vast potential. Simply speaking, I just want to prove to my father that I'm not a failure. That I wanted to be somebody he was proud of. 88, I finished college, Hindu college in Delhi, and the transportation business was the mainstay of the family.
Which is your father's business?
My father's business. My grandfather started that in 1939, Bijli Pehlwan, and then Amritsar Transport Company. So it was very natural for me to go and join that business. But I struggled. I wasn't able to do a good job over there. But the second next thing that we had in the family was the cinema.
Which was courtesy an arbitration that your father had
helped
settle.
That's right. So that was his passion. He used to work in the day, and then in the evening, settle family disputes of various families in Delhi, and this is how one cinema came into the fold. So I said, if I can't do anything in the trucking business, let me try and do something to the cinema business. Somewhere I was very I think I had an affinity towards movies,
Yeah.
definitely.
Did you watch a lot
I
then?
used to watch a lot of movies over and over again. A lot of Mr. Bachchan's movies used to get played. So Parvarish, Hera Fairy, Mr. Natwar Lal. So I think somewhere there must have been some connection that I must have felt. And as to always be little restless about the environment. Is the screen okay or not? Why are the seats dirty?
Dark and
Why is it
dingy.
dark? Why is dingy? Maybe something can be done to it. So when I got the opportunity, I was inspired by a lot of cinemas in India. One was Chanakya, in
Yes.
Chanakyapuri, and then Sterling in Bombay, Metro in Bombay. These were like iconic cinemas. Raj Mandir in Jaipur. In fact, I was in Jaipur. My children went to see Raj Mandir just now. It's still very good cinema. And I said, oh, if they can do something like this, let me ask my father if I can do something. And then I got married. When I got married, then as you just mentioned, I saw a multiplex in Orlando.
While you were on your honeymoon.
While on my honeymoon. And I called her from there and I said, listen, Dad, when I come back, can I revamp the cinema now properly? This is what I want to do. But the building bylaws didn't permit a multiplex, only a single screen cinema you could renovate. So that's how it's happened. I just made the walls a little more colorful, put Dolby, where again my father played a very big role, and just played only Hollywood films because there were 93 cinemas in Delhi at that time. And mostly everybody was playing Hindi movies. Only Chanakya, Archana used to play English movies. And there used to be a backlog of Hollywood movies. And people used to feel that the movies come very late from Hollywood. But that was not the reason why they came late. They came late because if a movie did well, it ran for 10, 12, 14 weeks. So the next new movie could not be played. So I just spoke to the producers, like distributors like Warner Brothers, MGM, Fox, Sony, that do you need another house? They used to call it a cinema house in Delhi where I can play. And they were just very happy. He said, yeah, Delhi is a great market. Priya is in South Delhi, where in any case the demographic is more acclimatized to
younger
urban.
and English speaking.
They'll watch English movies. So I got my first film, which was Three Men and a Baby. I still remember.
How appropriate.
And that's it. That's where my, I started really enjoying the experience of creating an experience rather than just a movie. Watching movies. How to watch movies was more important to me than the movie itself.
So you were ahead of this whole business of creating an experience and, getting into the experience economy, so to speak, like 30 years ago.
That's right. That's right.
But, and to quote the iconic line from Top Gun, was there ever a moment, in that phase where you were creating this movie-going experience where your father maybe told you that, son, you're writing checks that your body can't cash?
Every time he kept reminding me. Actually, he was, in a way, it was good because he made me cost conscious. He made sure that I didn't spend that kind of capex, that there'll be no returns. The other impediment was the entertainment tax. So entertainment tax was very high at that time. The decontrol of tickets hadn't happened. Still, you had a price cap of 14 rupees of balcony. So a lot of these factors were happening, which made me actually not spend too much money, just spend money. Yet within these constraints, there were cinemas in Delhi like Chanakya, Archana, and Sheila, who were doing very well because they were running at very high occupancies. So I said, even if the ticket price is 14 rupees, and even if there are these government restrictions and entertainment tax was at 60%, but if the occupancies go up to 70, 80%, you can still make a viable business. But honest to God, this is divine intervention that by the time Priya finished, 80% of the ticket prices were decontrolled. And there's no lobbying, nothing I had to do. But at that time, the CM Sheila Dikshit was very forward-looking. She herself realized, and the Association of Delhi, NAMPE it was called, National Association of Motion Pictures Exhibitors, they also were lobbying that this decontrol should go. Suddenly, the business became very profitable.
Well, speaking about decontrol, and I'll get to that in a second, because, are we coming a full circle on that from a regulatory point of view?
I should not give you any ideas for new questions.
No, you should give me many more ideas. But, that period between 1990 and 1995 was a difficult period for many reasons. One, of course, you were getting started. Two, you lost your father in 1992. You had a fire as far as the transport business was concerned in 1994. in that period, you also managed to get into the multiplex business by bringing Village Roadshow on board,
Yeah,
but they left in 2001. So,
yeah,
that was a pretty sort of up and down kind of moment for you, a period where you
yeah.
probably saw a fair degree of volatility. Did you think that you had the strength to continue?
Well, I think the biggest body blow is when your father passes away at an age of 25. I think nothing was more, you know, devastating for me than that, because the business of transportation was he was looking at. Somewhere his hand was on top of me, metaphorically speaking, that okay, even if this experiment doesn't work, I can always go back to my trucking business. So but him going away really put things in a complete different zone for me. And then I had to ride two boats, because somebody had to take care of the transport business as well, and also this new baby that I was very
Yeah.
excited about.
Yeah.
And this was Touchwood doing well.
Mm.
So that was a difficult period. And then when 94 the fire happened and we lost a lot of money. Luckily, nobody died in that fire, but we lost a lot of money. That's the time I was quite demoralized. And I said, no, now forget about Priya. Okay, I'll give it to a manager to run it. I need to take care of the trucking business. But every single day, going to the trucking company in Chandni Chowk was a bit of a chore. I just couldn't handle it. Then my mother, God bless her, and she's still there in the house. She said that you just don't look yourself when you're looking at when you're running the business. Don't worry, your uncle can run it, which is my mama ji. Whatever strategic direction you want to do, you do with him, but go back to cinemas. That's the time I was looking frantically for a partner
Yeah.
to create multiplexes, because single screens, with due respects to them, I just found them very difficult to fill them up 52 weeks in a year, because 1,000-seater cinemas, some movies do well, some movies don't do well. You don't get 52 blockbusters. Till date, you don't get 52 blockbusters globally. So I just found the model becoming a little outdated. So I was very keen that multiplexing is the way to go in a country where 1,600 films come through the system in a year. You can't have one single screen. And scale is something. Our common friend Sunil,
Yes.
we used to bowl with him, Sunil Mittal, used to always say, whatever you want to do, scale should be there.
Yeah.
Never look at mom and pop. So that little restlessness came in me, that I can't be just a single screen cinema. So therefore, I was fortunate to I looked for, by the way, lots of partners. I went to America, went to England, but I found Village Roadshow in Australia, who found the Indian market with a very high potential. And they said, okay, fine, let's do a JV. So you're right, 90 to 95 was very, very tumultuous. But with this JV, I suddenly once again got excited that this is the way to go and this is what I want to do.
Well, let's cut to the future now and where we are in 2025. And you're still recovering from what you have described as a body blow, which is, of course, the pandemic.
Yeah.
One, you underestimated the impact of the pandemic. Two, you perhaps hoped for a faster recovery and a faster bounce back, which has been relatively elusive.
Yeah.
As you look at the business today, we're starting at at a new financial year. Is there a silver lining that you can spot?
Well, Sid Field is one of the writers I read a lot. He used to be a professor in USC. He used to teach film. So he used to always say, in every story in life, or there's act 1, act 2, and act 3.
Where
act
are we today?
Act 1 is a setup. Act 2 is a conflict. And act 3 is a resolution. My act 2 has become very long because of the
no intermission or too many ads.
Yeah, because of the pandemic. The protagonist's conflict is in act 2, as in life. That's where you're finding your feet. Lots of things happen in life. And I did underestimate that act 2 will become so long. So I think father's passing away was the numero uno body blow. This was also a coup de grace, because cinemas were shut down. 2 years you didn't have any business, and habits changed. And both sides of both engines that make our business work, the supply side and the demand side, there were changes. On the supply side, the content makers, India and globally, got distracted, and shooting stopped. And also they said, okay, people are sitting at home, so maybe we should put our energies in creating TV shows and films for the OTT platforms, which was not happening pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, we used to all see Game of Thrones, TV shows,
Yeah.
never short form films. So that happened, and they got distracted. A lot of money was spent. Even the streaming platforms did not have much shooting happening, so they also didn't mind, throwing a lot of money on
And getting these
content
films on
and
board.
getting
Yeah.
films on board and content on board. And on the supply, on the demand side, people got used to sitting
Yeah.
at home and consuming entertainment on their TV platforms, and which is the reason why both things got disrupted. So it's taken a long time. Now, what we're seeing after 5 years, I call it like 12 quarters or maybe more, or post pandemic, what we're seeing is that water is finding its level. The producers have realized that the economic rationale of releasing the movie on the big screen is incredible, because like you said, you saw a movie recently, Superboys of Malegaon.
Yeah.
Prior to that, 12th Fail came, a lot of smaller movies came, Munjia came, where you made it only for 10 crores, 5 crores, but it did 80, 90 crores box office. So the economic rationale, there is no cap to when a movie gets released theatrically. So the supply side, I'll start with them. They realize that if we make the movie, we can monetize it in the entire journey. So first window of monetization is theatrical.
Right.
Then comes OTT, satellite, all that sort of stuff. And if a movie does well, it clicks, then you can monetize it much better on all platforms, and then you can negotiate with everybody. The streaming platforms also realize now the world has opened up.
Yeah.
So you don't need to pay an arm and a leg to get content. Let the movie theatrically perform first,
And then bring it
and
back.
then bring it back. So that has happened. And of course, the consumers, the most important, they also realize that we need to get out. We've already been incarcerated at home for so long.
Yeah.
But there I'm finding a bit of a mixed bag.